This is the third video on the binary tree tool. What I'd like to talk about right now is layout. When I am, drawing a tree or creating a tree, I might not be that great of an artist, and I might have things going all over the place. And I'd like it to get cleaned up a little bit. Okay. Well, the thing you can do is there's an auto layout that you could have multiple trees that are not connected to each other, but it will automatically lay out each tree if I hit the L key. Right now we just have one tree. I hit the L key, and it kind of puts them all in a reasonably nice position. And so we can try doing something crazy again. Now, if you don't like the distance horizontally or vertically, you can change that. Right now, it happens to be set up so that on auto layout, the percentage, it basically will put 30% of a node's width in space in between horizontal nodes. Let's change that to 50. And for vertical, let's change that to 70. And now when I hit the L key, things are just spaced just a little bit more. In fact, let's change it back to something smaller here. 15, and let's say 20. And when I hit OK here and hit the L key, it puts them closer together. So depending on if you're giving a demo, if you want to cram a lot of things in, as opposed to you want things kind of a little more spaced out so the parts of the tree that are disconnected is more obvious, you can adjust those settings if you want to. Oh, by the way, the settings are saved every time you change the settings. They get saved into a hidden file on wherever your executable is. And so when you run that executable again, the settings will be remembered from when you last left off. Okay. Another thing you can do is sometimes maybe I have, a window or an area here with something, maybe over here in some of the area that's not on the screen right now. And I'd like to be able to conveniently move back and forth. In fact, let us just create a duplicate here of this tree. And let's just change all these guys to black. And let's say I'd like to be able to move back and forth because I'm looking at this and looking at the other one. Well, if you hit the arrow key, either up, down, left, or right, it will basically do a pan. Okay, so if I can drag here and do a pan. And if I want to pan to the left, I can do something like that. If I want to pan to the right or up or down. If I hit the right arrow key, it will pan to the right. So we should see this guy moving over to the right. There we go. And I can go, I'm hitting the left arrow key now, moving the whole scene to the left. And so if I want to be able to move conveniently, I mean, I can, kind of, move like this and try to get things in the right spot. But if I have things set up in advance, I can figure out what that distance is and go into settings here. And arrow key panning, horizontal, vertical. Right now it's at 500. Let's try it at 1500. Okay. And so now if I go to the right here, that pans to the right. To get the other tree, I need to go to the pan to the left. And so I can conveniently pan back and forth between these two things by hitting the left and the right arrow keys. Now, sometimes you're not thinking about panning the direction of the canvas moving. You're thinking of the direction I want to move to this object. And so if I hit the right arrow key, it's the equivalent of dragging it on the empty canvas and moving to the right. But I may want to view it the other way. I want to move to get the object on the right. And that does the opposite intuitively. And so what I can do is I can go into the settings and say minus 1500, and that changes the sense. And so now I can say I want to move to the object on the right by hitting the right key. And there I go. I just hit the right arrow key, hit the left arrow key. Okay, so if you have kind of multiple regions you'd like to be able to conveniently get back and forth between without having to, do a bunch of dragging, et cetera, that is something that you can do. Another thing that is useful sometimes, in fact, it's certainly useful in binary search trees, is being able to copy data from one node into the other. For example, I have this binary search tree. I want to delete the 16. How do we do that? Well, the way we do that is by looking for the in-order successor, go to the right once, left as many times as possible. We're at the 30. And so I can hit the copy, and now that allows me to move the 30 data into the 16. I now can delete. By the way, this is not a red-black tree, in case you're thinking that I don't know what I'm doing. I can now hit the delete key, hovering over it, and reconnect here. And now now I have my binary search tree legal again. And so you can also, if you want to, do a swap. The swap basically, now this will make it not a legal binary search tree, but I can swap the 8 and the 30 like that. I can also say, I just want this value to be, minus 18. I can type in a minus 18 right there and hit that change button and then click on the value I want, the node I want to change. And okay, what just happened here? 18, change. Click, there we go. I don't know what happened previous time. Maybe this guy, maybe I accidentally clicked on the empty canvas and it cleared that. Anyway, and so you can do that as well. One other thing I did want to note is it's really convenient to be able to have the layout, hit the L key. Having to hit the L key over and over again is kind of a pain. And if you want to always have your trees be automatically laid out when you do an edit, for example, I want to, take that and I want to delete that, and I'd like this to be automatically laid out just every time I edit. You can go into the settings, and there is an auto layout, and that basically says anytime I modify the tree, it automatically lays it out again. And there's an animation time that will 0.75 seconds, I think is pretty reasonable. And you also may want to only do your auto layout when the tree is fully connected. Okay, so let's for example, let's say only when fully connected right now. Let's just delete this one, and now it auto layout. So if I, let's say, delete the 12, come on, there we go, delete the 12, and let's say I want to put the 14 there, and I want to put the 10 there. Now it's not fully connected yet, so it's not auto layouting, but now it is fully connected, and so it will auto layout. When you're doing deletions, you probably don't want to auto layout when you probably want to only do when you're fully connected, because otherwise you'll see something like this. And now let's say I want to delete the 14. Well, now the 10 is not part of the tree, and so things get laid out on top of it because it's a totally independent tree. So when you're doing deletions, you typically want to have this box checked. When you're doing insertions, probably doesn't matter that much. There's sometimes you might want to have a layout happen on multiple, if you're inserting like into multiple trees, it might be convenient to be able to have the auto layout happen all the time. Okay, well, this is the end of this video, and we'll see you at the next one.